Welcome back to the Slanted Attic Experience. I'm your host, Tyler, and this is episode 25. We've got an absolute cracker of a show today because joining me is none other than the one and only Sam, a lover, not a fighter, and quite possibly the best multitasker in Richmond. This guy can sell software, support Liverpool, you'll never walk alone indeed, and somehow still find time to get lost on the golf course and collect books like it's an Olympic sport. Sam's here to share his unique take on everything, from ancient mysteries like the Younger Dryas Impact and Göbekli Tepe to grounding techniques, exercise routines, and how to pair good food with fitness. We'll also dive into modern craziness, like the addictive world of social media and how it's reshaping our lives, and touch on the one thing that we can all argue about, movies. Oh, and if you're a Liverpool fan, stick around. We're getting into the EPL too. So grab your coffee, your foam roller, or whatever you need to settle in, because we're about to explore the attic of ideas and curiosity with Sam. Let's dive right in. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Slanted Attic Experience. We're delighted to have you guys back today. Today, we're joined by none other than Sam in the studio, not in the physical studio, but the virtual one. You know, we're here together. I always like to keep the camera on, even though you beautiful people cannot see our faces. As I said in the last episode, we have a dedicated software team, working on getting that together. A lot of pieces to the puzzle. So without further ado, I'd like to, welcome Sam onto the podcast. Excited to get going here today.
Thank you, my man. It's a pleasure. We've been trying to line this up for several months.
Yep. But hey, today's finally the day we get to do it. So I'm excited to dive into a few things here, man. I mean, the last
Yeah.
time we hung out, we literally talked for fucking 6 hours about
Yeah.
everything. So,
And it's like the quality of that conversation was so good. It went from sunlight to sundown and just lost track of time and got beaten back in and abusively beat down and back in. And
that's
that
right,
was
man.
great, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like we've
Yeah.
never really kicked it like that. So it was cool to like connect with an individual on that level immediately, like quality.
Absolutely. No, I totally get that. And that's something I like to talk about in this podcast quite a lot. You don't get that quality communication conversation very much anymore. People are into their phones. What do I call it? Like text-based conversations. So everything on Twitter and on
Totally.
Instagram, it's like you send people reels, you're tweeting at somebody else. You can't see somebody's
Exhausting.
reaction to you can't see somebody's reaction to your comments. Like, how does that make somebody feel? Like, are you actually an empathetic person? Probably, but you'll never know because you're tweeting rage bait at people on Twitter. So yeah, no, 100%,
Yeah,
to feel that connection and conversation is just phenomenal. So yeah, that whole weekend was a vibe, to be honest.
it was, man. And I'm like, I need to see some nature. I'm like,
Yes.
we're flowers, man. We're meant to be in the sun, feet in the ground. I feel like I hadn't done that in such a hot minute. And it was like my brain woke up that weekend as well.
Absolutely. So refreshing. I mean, just that sheer vitamin D. Most people don't even get enough time
Yeah.
outside every day. What's the number? I think it's like 60 to 80% of people in the US are vitamin D deficient in some
Dude, I'm in,
way, shape,
I'm
or
in
form.
that 99th percentile right there.
Yeah, I try to get outside every day, at least for a little bit, man. It feels good to have the sun on your skin, to be honest. Um,
It
we don't have the
does.
opportunity to have, touch feet to grass, in our apartment, but I would love to have a little backyard, grab a
Yeah. I
cup of
mean,
coffee, just walk out onto the grass.
we've got a backyard, but like in the city, man, it's so hit or miss. Like
Yeah.
our backyard, it's right on an alley. We've got a bunch of trash cans that for whatever reason are lined up on our fence, and it's like it's not the kind of backyard you kick it in.
Right.
And it's unfortunate. We got a fireplace out there. It's like we don't use it, but that's okay. It's a rental. Drive it like
Yeah.
a rental.
Exactly, exactly, that's right. Hey, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on for this conversation, we didn't
Mhm.
get to do this prior to the season starting, but I wanted to talk about the English Premier League a little bit. A couple of my buddies
Yes.
Yeah, a couple of my buddies, have got me a little bit invested, not so much to the fact that I watch every game every weekend, but I'm
Yeah,
following it on Reddit subreddits. I'm reading a little bit about it. I'm trying to learn
the
more,
most
understand more
toxic
about.
cesspool of
Yeah,
opinions.
yeah, exactly. So something I kind of wanted to start out with. I read something. It's probably on Instagram, Unusual Whales, if you've heard of that
Not
account.
familiar.
So they got started 3 years ago, 4 years ago with,
Hmm.
somehow finding out how to track the, purchase and sale of, shares of companies, stocks of
Yeah.
congressional
Oh,
people
yes, I'm
people with
familiar. I
power.
just didn't know know those
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they track Nancy Pelosi and all the
Yeah.
gang.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So now they've become more of like a media source. They report on a
Hmm.
lot of other stuff. It's interesting, but they still
Like
focus,
EPL.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. They were talking about the what was it? There was a player that sued FIFA for contract rights because his contract, he never actually voided the contract with one team. This was like 8 years ago, and now they're trying to fine him
Interesting.
because they never finished the contract. You understand what I'm saying? He never played it
Yeah.
out with this team, and he signed illegally with another squad.
Oh,
And
so he's double dipping. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not familiar with it, but that sounds like something that would happen. Like everything. I mean, it's just a business. The product is sports.
yeah,
That's they're doing nefarious shit. I mean, Manchester City's caught up in it big time, and they just kind of put out a post like I think it was the city legal team. Don't quote me on this, people out in the world, but I think it was like their legal team put out, and they were like these laws that the Premier League have in their governance are like illegal by English legal standards. So they're kind of trying to dispute their case to saying it's not legal in the real world as well.
right, right.
But they've got like 100 allegations out on them spanning like half a decade of illegal business stuff. So it's like it's going to be interesting to see what happens because inevitably, if they've got that many allegations, they got to have something in there.
Right,
So I'm
right.
curious what kind of huge penalty those guys are going to get because they're the best team in the world and they have been for a long time now.
Yeah, that is wild. I mean, I see them probably most widely on social media sources.
Yeah.
It's super interesting how they do all the monetary stuff because the only American sport that's similar to that, other than soccer itself, is
Hmm.
baseball. With the no salary caps, and they're allowed to basically
Yeah.
cherry pick and sign players wherever they want. But over time, it's kind of interesting to see who buys these huge soccer teams. Like who is behind that money? Like they're willing to throw out whatever, and it's become this kind of like Exxon oil spill type of deal.
It
Like, are
is.
we going to
It's
make
rich
more
people
money?
passion
Right?
project
Yeah.
shit.
Are we going to make more money doing whatever the hell we want and then pay the fines, or should we play by the
Hmm.
regulations and the rules? Like
Hmm.
obviously it's the former, right? Because they have
Yeah.
quote unquote unlimited money.
Oh, it just came to me. The player you were talking about's Mbappe. It's PSG he's talking about it. This is in the French league, the Serie A, well, not Serie
I see.
A, Ligue A, whatever. I don't watch any French soccer, but the essentially Mbappe was like, "I'm leaving, and you have to pay me this," and the owners of them were like, "We're not going to though." They literally go, "We've got fuck you money. We're not going to."
Right.
And I don't know if he ever ended up getting paid out before he went to Real Madrid.
Yeah, so I think that was the whole thing, and, the way I don't know if it was brought up in, like, the English court system or the French court
Mhm.
system or whatever happened, the
Mhm.
the bottom of the headline was like, "This is gonna change FIFA money structuring forever." So it sounds important, but
And
not a you know
it's the news cycle. It's
Right,
off.
right. I was having
It
that
feels like a
exact
lifetime ago, and
conversation
that was
today.
like 6 months ago.
Right, right. Exactly. Yeah, I was having that conversation actually last night. It's like the news
Mhm.
cycle. It's like we move so quickly from one thing to another. How are we going to understand what's going on? I think we were talking about Diddy. It was like, what they're going to do
Oh, right?
is they're going
That
to
fell
they're
out of
going
the
to
news.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, they're going to get him wrapped up in everything, the major players, which he might be a tier 2 guy,
Mhm.
I think. That's my theory. He's a tier 2 or tier
Who's
3
above
guy.
him?
Yeah, who's above him? Well, everybody's going to forget about it come the new year, right? It's going to be 4 months out. They're going to have prosecuted them. Nobody's going to be left wondering why, right? Like,
I'm worried about the hurricane hitting Florida right now, and I'm thinking about the people in Asheville.
right,
And I'm
yeah.
like, my brain doesn't have capacity to be concerned about Diddy.
Right. No. And that's 100% what the I don't want to get too conspiratorial here, but like
Yeah,
that's what they are counting on. They're counting on people being too busy, working two jobs, to
absolutely.
make ends meet, to have time to do their own research and like, really think about these conceptual questions and problems
Yeah.
that we have, It's so wild.
People,
Yeah,
yeah.
so wild. The
People in
people
the
that have
square,
access
like
to
with the
that.
bullhorn, shouting about the issues that we're annoyed of talking about, are the only people who are trying to keep that in the news still,
Right.
rightfully so. And it's like we're naturally prone to just be annoyed at people shouting a message at us and like walking in public, but it's like that is necessary to make that issue relevant and hopefully persecuted to the highest degree, you
Yeah,
know?
yep, I totally agree. There's so many things. Oh my God. I mean, I can't even remember half the shit that's probably gone on the last 5 years, not including the whole COVID thing and everything else. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's like I think
I'm
it's like
yeah.
yeah, it's just crazy shit. I think of January 6th all the time.
Yeah. And
I'm
that,
like, that wasn't that long ago.
it wasn't that long ago. And like all my thoughts are preoccupied by, you know, focusing on my career. I recently got a pay bump and I moved positions and I'm doing
Oh
well
yeah,
in that.
man.
So I'm excited about that. So I'm focusing
Congrats.
on putting
Yeah.
more hard work into that, dedicating time, whatever. And I'm doing the podcast and I'm watching all the sports. October's a great time for sports. We got playoff
Trying to
baseball,
play some golf and you spend
NFL.
4
Yeah.
days. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah. All that stuff. It's like, how do I
a
have
lot of
time to
plates
stay informed? Right.
and hit the gym,
Yes,
which I know you
exactly.
do as a dedication because every time we're talking, you're like, I'm going to the gym first. I'm like, respect the
Didn't
fuck out of you for following your schedule.
Didn't make it today. Didn't go last
Ah,
week, but
dang.
I was sick. I was sick last week. It's the first time I hadn't
Dang.
went in like 14 weeks or something like that. And before that,
Wow.
I forget what happened, but I went for the 20 weeks prior and then I missed 1 week and then it was 14 in a row or something like that. So I have been pretty good about that. Minimum 2 times a week. Try to get out and walk, very
Been
important. People
walking a
don't get
lot.
their yeah,
Yeah.
people don't get their steps, man. Like that's so important too. And the food you eat and all this shit, man. It's like there's so many different things to be involved in and to be angry about, but like
Mhm.
yet we have to go on and do our day to day. It's a
Yeah.
very
I have to be one person from like 8 to 5, and then I wanna
right,
switch that person off and put it away, and
right,
then I wanna be a different person because 'cause I've gotta be in gear with, like, what I do. For those listening, I'm a sales manager at a startup software company, and nothing's been planned, nothing's been fi like, everything's uncharted. And it's just like, I have to put that hat on all day, and I take it off, and it's like going from 5th gear to 2nd,
yeah,
and it's where I wanna be, but man, it's tough.
yeah, yeah. Just that mental space, that head space is probably vastly different. You know,
Totally, it's tough to slow down, and, like, with Olivia, my partner, she's in grad school, she's working a job, and she's doing an internship while and it's like she's juggling, so she's in the other room doing coursework right now. I'm
right,
like, she doesn't have an opportunity to switch gears until she's done with work.
right,
And
yeah,
that's a tough reality for 2 years, so
absolutely. It's we're constantly surrounded by what's a good word for it, like a lot of things all the time. Like we have so many options for endorphin rushes and dopamine hits, like
yeah.
your phone, nicotine, various other stuff, alcohol, whatever you like to do. There's some things better for you than others.
Mhm.
Of course, and as adults, I totally believe that like we should be able to choose what we do and be responsible for our own lives. That's conversation for another day.
Totally.
But how do we
Mhm.
deal with all of these things coming at us all the time? It's hard to slow down and just be a reactive person instead of trying to be proactive
Yeah.
against all these outside sources that are they're flying at you. You know what I mean?
Totally. I mean, dude, I think about this all the time. Like, and I think about it at work because I'm constantly being bombarded. Like, I got 10 people that are like on my team that I work with, And that's a lot of people to keep rolling. A lot of them are new within the last year, and it's like
Sure.
everybody's got a different level of needs, and like I want to be there for them. Half of them are on the West Coast, and we're on the East, so it's like they deserve a manager and like somebody to answer their questions as much as anybody for the full workday. So I try and answer them late in the evening. But man, it just really encroaches in that space. What I was trying to get at is like I think about this at work all the time, where I'm like I'm the Earth and the Earth's always taking debris and asteroids and satellites falling out of orbit and things. And it's like some things are bigger than others. Some things get farther into the atmosphere than others. But you get to kind of decide how thick your atmosphere is by how much of that you let into your life. So
Is that something that you just have an analogy for? Because I think that's brilliant. Or did you read that somewhere?
oh, I know. I just think about that all the time. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
somebody's problem. That's for sure not a novel.
Are you
If that's a
sure?
Reddit first, when you're on Reddit and you're like the first person to put together a sentence in that order, it sends you a notification and says, "Hey, you're the first person to ever say these words in this order." You ever seen that?
No, I haven't. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, it's
That's
like a
super
Reddit
cool.
bot automation. Yeah, it's always cool to see somebody like drop a comment and you're like, "That's the first time this ever." But no, I don't know if I was the first one to ever say the Earth thing, but that's how I feel.
Dude, that's a great analogy though. Like I feel that so hard. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
how
sure a
thick?
lot of
Yeah.
people do.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah. I've
young,
never heard
trying,
it put
we're
that way.
gunning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Never heard it put that way before. I think that's a great take, honestly. I really do. I think that's
thanks, bro.
that's that's kind of like a stoic perspective if you follow
I've
that
got the Daily Stoic over there. I've read it.
yeah.
I'm not. I'm so man. I've been bad on my habits. Like I read a couple weeks, dropped it, never picked it back up.
Yeah, it's
But
hard. It's hard to
yeah,
create a habit. It really is. What's the minimum amount of time? I think it's what, 56 days or something like that. You're supposed to do something and then it naturally becomes
yeah,
a habit. 2
yeah. So
months.
it's like it's cool to hear you talk about your streak at the gym from 20, couple days off, couple weeks off, back again for 17 weeks. It's like you're doing the damn thing, man.
Yeah, just the longer I do it, it just feels like something I need to do instead of something I want to do. It's like
Yeah,
keeping my body in shape. At
yeah,
work, I got these exercise bands. I've been struggling with my right elbow. Didn't complete
yeah.
PT when I was a freshman in college. I had Tommy John surgery, so
Same
um
thing with my hamstrings, not to that extreme, but like my hamstrings got busted, didn't rehab them right, and now it hurts.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting to that age. I mean, I don't like, life moves faster. I think the older you get, and that's kind of like a crazy thing to realize. But yeah, I've got these exercise bands, and I've been doing elbow exercises because I physically can't put up more than 60-pound dumbbells at the gym because my stabilizer muscles and my
Yeah,
my arm can't do it. So trying to
yeah.
work at
60
that. My
pounds still a lot if you're doing like single arm anythings.
no, I'm not doing single arm shit. I'm doing like chest press, like dumbbell chest
Uh,
press. Which 60's not bad, but I
yeah,
mean,
that's dumbbells. You're single arming that thing. They're free
yeah,
floating. You're not on a barbell. That's tough, man. Just lower the weight and do more reps or something.
yeah, that's what I've been
I
doing.
know.
So I'm trying to
You want to
work
do more?
work. Of course, of course. Yeah, so I'm trying to work up to that, work back into it. My posture's poor. I've been doing a lot of upper back stuff. So I don't know, man. It's all about improving, like what are these things I can control? What are these things I can
Mhm.
do to kind of make my atmosphere thicker, like the great
Dude,
Sam
yes.
Reiner said.
Thanks, bro. Man, speaking of like talking about like making your atmosphere thicker, um, you got me there, man. I've never done this before, and I'm not the most like I'd say I've been so absorbed in like my work stuff that I haven't like been listening to my body, you know.
Hmm.
And my buddy Aaron invited me to come to this breathwork class with his roommate guy like runs, and he kind of runs like meditations and mindfulness stuff
Yeah.
and is like working to build his career and brand out of that. It was really cool to like attend this. It was only like six of us there. My buddy Buck and I went, and Aaron was there with his roommate. I think his name was Reggie, and two other gals. And it was like we got there at like 10ish. We were chilling. It was in a park under a big magnolia tree, so it was
Hmm.
already like what I was kind of saying before we started the show, with like it's like my feet were planted in the ground and I was right where I was supposed to be. I'm a flower. I need the sun. I don't get out enough. and we did this breathwork class. And I've never done a breathwork class. I've done some mindfulness shit at home.
Hmm.
And it started with like some sensory stuff and like setting your intentions. And then we went into this like physical thing where we were like patting our bodies and like just kind of activating like our awareness is kind of how it was. We did some standing, breathing stuff, seated, and then we were laying down. And this is the whole point of this ramble. But we were laying down and we were like breathing in through our mouth, 4 count. And then we were supposed to tense up our bodies and clench them and then breathe out 4 count and like release your body. We did that for like maybe 10 minutes. And man, this was the craziest thing. My body must have just released a ton of stress and endorphins,
Yeah.
and just my eyes just started just completely crying. Not in like a sad, like not an emotional state. I just started weeping though. It was like benign. It was the craziest thing to like let whatever that was in, like
Yeah.
into the atmosphere, and I feel so much more fortified just by doing that once, like 4 days ago. It was like it felt like tripping on mushrooms without ever taking anything.
Right. Dude, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I totally believe that. I mean, I've heard and read a lot of things about breath work, meditation, mindfulness, stuff like that, where you
yeah,
can achieve a higher state of consciousness. And I think there's probably a lot of validity to that. What do we know
yeah.
about the human mind? Next to nothing, man. Like, you know, we were apes and maybe we ate a
Still
bunch of
are.
mushrooms, maybe we didn't. And over time, we developed the knowledge and probably the what did the human head doubled within the span of like 200,000 years or something like that. And that was the great
Mhm.
question. Like nobody knows the exact reasoning behind that. And that's what, allowed us to have the prefrontal cortex, whatever, be smart enough
Yeah, and
to
our brain is more folded than other primates' brains. And it's like that's really the spectrum of like intelligence within animals and mammals is like, are their brains folded like ours are?
right.
And the answer is no. And it's like you get so much more surface area. And God knows how the fuck we ended up on top in this whole thing and like vastly more complex than even the next closest thing, like a chimp, I think, or like a orangutan.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Crazy,
I find it so interesting that dolphins are thought to be as intelligent as humans, in different ways.
hmm
I know they have different dialects. They speak to each other differently depending on what pods they're in. They're the only other mammal that I think has sex for pleasure other than humans. Correct me if I'm wrong,
wow.
but
No, I've heard the thing about. I think it's in like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy where they talk about dolphins
really, I
as
have
like
that
the
book in paperback. I
smartest
haven't read it
being.
yet. Yeah,
Dude,
it's
you got to.
true.
I've only seen the movie. Such a fucking loser. The book's been out since like the '60s, I think.
Right. Right.
Um, and it was like I think it was like first of its kind of thing in terms of like
Yeah.
sci-fi, futuristic, but not like shoot 'em up Star Wars or Dune kind of
Right.
stuff, like more
Right.
Spaceballsy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited to read that book, to be honest with you. But back to the dolphins really
Yeah.
quick. There was a guy,
Yeah.
I think he was referenced in another podcast that I did or something that I listened to or heard, but he was involved with like a bunch of government stuff. And then he went quote unquote wacky and decided to like
Interesting.
start working on this dolphin translator device and trying to understand them and all this shit. And
Some
like,
Area 51 level
yeah, yeah,
dolphin.
I don't
That's
know.
fine.
Somebody's gonna listen to
The
this and
shape
be
of
like,
water.
yeah, and know what I'm talking about and think I'm wild. But anyway, he was I don't know if he was killed or like, basically canceled, pushed off, whatever. But I
Both.
think we tweet
The
treat
CIA is afoot.
oh yeah. Yeah. I just think all that stuff with dolphins is super interesting. I think we should study that more. Why are we not studying something that's maybe as complex as we are? You know what I mean? Can't we learn anything?
Right? What if that's the key to solving like the pollution and death of the ocean and like sea life is the ability to like communicate to the dolphins, knowing that they're super high in intellect, they're the quote unquote humans of the sea or whatever.
Right.
And what if they could be like, we need to make these improvements?
Yeah. Dude, come on. That's it.
Did we just unlock it?
you know, down the road, this is all digital, so it's going to be stored somewhere forever for the rest of the time, unless everything gets blown up, a meteor hits us, and then we're all fucked anyway. So
We're all fucked
somebody in the
anyway.
yeah,
Anyway, man, it's just a matter of when, and who knows, man. we're,
Yeah.
when
Cataclysmic
they say
event.
you got 6 months to live or 6 years to live, it's a estimate.
That's that's right. That's right. I can't remember if, when I was over at your house after we got Taco Bell that one day, if we talked about the Younger
Yeah,
Dryas Impact theory and cataclysmic events and, like, the meteor
I don't
stuff.
think we did. I
No,
don't think we did.
what's your knowledge level on that?
None, or at least not
None?
by name.
Okay. So the Younger Dryas Impact theory was something like, I think, 12,500 to, like, 14,000 years ago or something like that, and it's said that this asteroid or meteor, I'm not sure exactly the characteristics of what defines an asteroid versus a meteor. One I'm sure is larger than the other. Hit the Earth and caused a global flood, and this is what is mentioned in most well-known religions as
Like
Moses, the
biblical
Great Flood,
texts. Yeah,
right?
that
And
stuff.
it caused a mass flooding of the Earth, which caused the sinking of the land bridge between what is it, North America and I don't know, my geography's horrible. Whatever's across from North America on the map.
Left or right, east or west?
East.
East,
Like if
like
I'm staying
Europe,
in New Jersey,
mainland
it's so
Europe.
Europe. So in between the land bridge in between the United States and Europe, right? And
Jeez.
there's been a lot of evidence in Alaska and a lot of northern areas that there were animals they never thought to have existed in that area time period before. So
Yeah,
there's a little bit of research behind it, but it's
I'm
mostly
familiar with
remained.
this information, yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly remained, a theory, largely a theory for a bunch of
Mhm.
time. But I think talking about it is super interesting. A guy that I love, Graham Hancock, if you know who that is.
Yeah,
He has that show on
he's
Netflix.
not is he the poisonous, plants guy?
No, 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 that's Milton, maybe?
Hmm.
No, he's the mushrooms
Alright,
guy.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
no,
that's
no,
who
no.
I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Rogan had him on. He was actually a super interesting conversation. Highly recommend it. But
Were they tripping for that one?
I
I
don't
feel
think
like he does that half the time with his guests.
I'm not sure. I don't think so, I wanna say. But, they talk about a lot of interesting stuff, for those of you
Alright,
that are
yeah, yeah, I'm sorry to cut you off, though.
into chemistry and drugs.
Yeah.
But anyway, this dude, Graham Hancock, he's a pseudo archaeologist is what he likes to call himself.
Mhm.
And his theory is that there was at least one, if not more, ancient civilizations that got wiped out by this Younger Dryas impact, this meteor slash asteroid impact. And he seems to
Interesting.
think there's evidence in a lot of these ancient um, pyramid like structures, or like what's another good, temples, or like something that
Mhm.
holds an area of significance. And he goes through I can't remember the name of the first one, but there's a bunch of different ones where he shows quote unquote, not sure if it's true or not, sure seems like it is,
Mhm.
evidence of machinery being used, and large pieces of stone that weren't natural formations, like hundreds and hundreds of
Totally.
pounds, if not dozens of tons. How do you move this from one place to the other if you don't have the use of
Mhm.
motorized and complex machinery? There's a lot of wild theories out there. One of my favorite is probably the vibration theory. I don't know if that's exactly how you call it, but they were able to manipulate sound in a way that would move massive objects,
Mm,
which I thought was super.
that's wild. I
Yeah,
wonder what kind of, like, instrument or, like, horn or thing would they have crafted to generate that much force that they could propel, like, the stones for the pyramids, you know?
right, right. And that makes me think
I've
all the
s Yeah.
time of current technology. And it's like, what if we didn't find electricity? What if we found some other sort of innovation? We'd be totally somewhere else. Like, we're technology based, right?
Dude,
Apes right
it's
now. You
insane
know what
to
I mean?
think about that, and it's like, the brains on the guys who figured all this stuff out, the guys at Giles and Persons that figured all this stuff out, it's like, from the telegraph to electricity and copper wiring, it's like, that's mind-boggling, the level of innovation that took to get us to this place where we're kicking it over computers.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, although we're not that far from each other, we're speaking face
No.
to face via camera. I've done it with my buddy that lives in, Los Angeles, California, and that's what, 5,000 fucking miles away. It's awesome that
Yeah.
we've reached this level of technology that we can do things like this. There are also archons, of course, which I think people tend to fail to recognize sometimes. That's besides the point, though. Pros and cons to everything.
Accessibility is good and bad.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, a lot of big problems with that right now. I listened to an episode of Rogan's podcast recently with a guy named Robert Epstein. He does data research, and he basically tracks how Google manipulates the search function and how it's
Oh, absolutely.
yeah,
Suggested searches and this is what's on the popular page on whatever. Who
yep.
picks what's on popular?
Who is it? I don't know.
You know who it is.
Yeah, I think everybody does to some degree. They know, but they don't know. I don't know. Crazy to think about.
Maybe it's a mixture of both.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't know how we got here, starting at the EPL, but I'm loving
Oh,
where it's
wow.
taking us.
We're back.
We're back. We're back at the EPL. So let me get this little segment out, and then we can kind of go out,
Sure.
and do whatever. But yeah, I just wanted to know like the current landscape, what's going on. I know it's probably like 6 weeks into the season ish. My buddy has
Yeah.
me following Brighton, who won a big
I like
match
Brighton.
this past weekend. So
Yeah, man. Brighton's I think for the last 2 years they finished like sixth in the table. They're like right on the cusp, and they've had a really good team. And I think like they've done what good teams do in the middle of the table, and they raise good players and they sell them off and get a lot of money, and then like go get another kind of superstar, fill in the gaps with more middle of table players. But Brighton, like their fans are good. They don't stir up any shit, and there's no drama with those guys. It's nice because there's a lot of teams that have like kind of douchebag guys, and it's nice not to have that energy for a team. That's why I like Liverpool. It's like I feel like they don't give off that energy of like I don't know, like Patriots fans when Brady was there and like just shove it in your face kind
yeah,
of people, you know?
sure, absolutely. I think that's a little bit of the Boston in them, but hey,
That vibe, it doesn't have to be them. It could be Golden
no, no,
State
no.
fans.
Oh, I hear you though on the New England thing. Believe me, especially with the Celtics being good the last couple of years, people that are fans of those teams will let me know. You know,
And they always do.
yep. That's all right though. It's fun to be passionate about and a fan of your team, right?
Yeah.
With stuff like this. But yeah, following the league has been interesting. I don't know a whole lot about soccer as a whole. I think I understand the money structure a little bit. That's super interesting to me. Understand the
I've
rules.
got a handle on it. Don't know all of it, but like I think it's like you can spend proportionately to how much your club makes in revenue is the gist of it. So like some clubs will overspend or they miscalculate how much like this happened to a club called Everton and they miscalculated kind of what they were expecting to make that year
Sure.
and they overspent. So the Premier League, like what's happening with Manchester City in terms of like some of these financial breaches, they kind of threw the book at them and they docked them 10 points, which almost put them in relegation zone. And Everton's been in the Premier League and like all the previous iterations of the Premier League for a century, you know?
Oh
So
wow.
they were going to put like one of the OG clubs into the championship, like the lower division through relegation. It's like
Yeah.
the disrespect for them to throw the book at them, and then they hit them back with another thing, and then they like threw him a bone and like gave him some points back. But like that's just like these people on a board deciding the fate of a whole business.
Yep. That's wild. I think relegation's my favorite part.
Dude, they need it in all sports. Send
I
the NFL
agree.
down to the XFL and the XFL up.
I
Different
agree,
footballs.
man. I agree. I think the knowledge that you could potentially go to a lower league is just so, I don't know, just to know that there's no
Someone's
floor.
guaranteed to.
Right. 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 Yeah, exactly. I think that would put a little bit more impact on, teams throwing games or like, trying to get a higher draft pick
Yeah.
and shit like that. And I hate that kind of stuff. Like, players
And
should play the
EPL
game.
doesn't really do it like that. It's a free for all. Like if your contract's up at wherever, or if they're not, you get bought out somewhere or whatever. It doesn't matter. That there's no like uh specific like drafting spot for them. They don't really draft.
That's kind of cool. Because I know like a lot of those teams over there have their own youth leagues, right? And that's how they kind of develop players and see what's going on.
Yeah, and they've got, like, everybody all the really good clubs that have a lot of money to do that, and they've got women's teams too. It's cool, like, they what kinda boggles me is they don't play the women's games at the men's stadiums. They have, like, their own separate stadiums. Like, why wouldn't you just utilize the same stadium twice? Besides, like, maybe they don't pack as many people in there, but so be it. Like,
Yeah.
nonetheless, I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Yeah, that is kind of wild. No,
Yeah.
EPL is going to be an interesting
Oh, yeah,
season.
relegation. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to start following a little bit more, and then maybe we'll go to Penny Lane or something on Saturday to watch. I think that sounds like a good
Dude,
idea.
we should go, the Arsenal game is coming up here in November, I think. Let's see. We'll have to get there early.
Yeah, how early are we talking?
It's,
Some of those games
October
start like
20 it's October 27th. The game starts at 12:30. We probably gotta get there at, like, 10:30
oh,
because they've got earlier games on.
I'm in upstate New York for a wedding, I believe, that weekend, unfortunately.
Copy.
But we
Dude, I
definitely
got
have
weddings
to.
3 of the next 4 weekends. I know it.
It's a lot. It's a lot. Thankfully,
Yeah,
two of the ones next
yeah.
year I'm going to are in Richmond, so I won't have to
Clutch.
pay for a hotel. So that's kind of nice.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are always nice. I'm like, all of my friends are just starting to get married or, like, I'm thankful to have a lot of friends, and it sounds so ridiculous, but it's like I love it. I've got, and it's tough to manage. We're talking about spinning plates and, like, keeping all your
Yeah.
relationships up earlier. But one's getting married in Richmond, one's getting married in Charlottesville, and the other one's in Kansas City. So it's like it's a little mixture of, like, here a little bit and a flight.
Yep. Yep. Kansas City would be fun though.
It's gonna be a quick trip.
Never been there. I've driven
Yeah,
through when I moved to Colorado, but that's about it.
yeah. I've never been either, but we're flying out late Friday, getting back early Sunday. It was the cheapest, quickest option. She's busy, we're going to more weddings, so we were like, gotta get back. She's gonna have classwork she's gotta do.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. I
yeah,
hear
man,
that,
talk
man.
about relegation.
Yeah, that and airline prices, home prices, all that shit. Looked at Zillow today. It was ridiculous.
Dude, I've been looking at Zillow as well. I'm getting excited. I like my brain doesn't really fully process, like, the impacts of, like, rate cuts and all that stuff. But I'm like, they keep saying they're going to be cutting rates next year, and I'm like, well, I'll start socking away some acorns if that means I'm not going to go bankrupt for buying a house.
Dude, I think I read something like over the past 5 or 6 years, home prices have increased by 50% on average.
Bonkers, man. I did look at a Zillow at a place over in Lakeside, and it's listed for like 390. Last time it got sold was in 2022 for like 200, and I'm like, what? It's the same house. What did you build in there?
There's
Nothing. It's just
no
supply and
possible way.
demand.
No possible way you're putting $170,000 worth of work into a house like that, or even like 150 grand so you can make 20,000. No
Yeah, it better be heated everything.
Yeah, that all the stuff that I'm seeing in the mid threes range is like 1,000 square feet, or not in the most
Dude,
ideal area, not a detached house. It's all kind of crazy shit.
I don't want to be in the middle of nowhere in a big house. I want to be somewhere accessible to things I like, maybe walkable.
Would be
I
nice.
don't know if, yeah, I don't know if it's just like the ultra rich just bought a bunch of houses and, like, are renting them out to people, or if people are just like, it's like the boomers have all the houses and there wasn't enough houses to go around with the population just steeply increasing.
Yeah, I've heard
But
that
yeah,
Zillow and a lot of other like real estate companies like that are purchasing their purchasing power is obviously very high, and they're buying up a
crazy.
lot
It's
of these
immense.
houses. In that same vein, a conspiracy theory that I heard about the whole
Mm.
hurricane stuff. We talked about cloud seeding last night. A lot of these government operations that have been around for 80 or so years to manipulate the weather. That's neither here nor there. We're not here to get into that and accuse the government of causing a hurricane
I'm
that's
not going there tonight.
yeah, right. That's massively, it's killing people, which is not okay, obviously. But it's a conspiracy theory that this was created to destroy a lot of the homes above a direct lithium deposit. and a
Oh
company is going to swoop
man,
in, buy all the land, and then start mining the shit out of it once the houses are destroyed. Which,
that's dystopian. I hope that's not the case.
right, which is wild. But that just like brings me back to the whole thing where like the market was crazy, and all of a sudden Zillow has all this capital and they buy all these houses,
True.
and now the market's saturated with buyers, and there's not enough houses to go around.
One
So like,
seller,
right,
and they decide when, and they make more money by renting them.
I hate renting. I want to
Yeah,
buy.
me too. I don't like the idea of paying off somebody else's bills. And like,
Yeah.
yes, like thanks for giving me a place to live, but like maybe you don't need two cribs.
Yeah, fair enough. I wonder when it became I wonder what the metrics are compared to renting or like owning houses, and I wonder when it became a closer gap or even if it overtook it.
Have to had probably had to been like in a period of like major like financial turmoil, like 2008 or what
Yeah.
happened like during the pandemic. Like I had to been sometime like that where some of this immense instability happened because inflation and the cost of goods and services didn't increase just like incrementally. Those things went insane.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy to
And
think
here we
about.
are.
It's almost to the
20 bucks
point
for a
where it's
burger?
yeah. Yeah. It's almost to the point where it's normalized. Like I go to, Buddies. Buddies is probably my favorite place to go
Totally.
because I never walk out of there with higher than like a $60 tab. You know what I mean?
There's a couple places around town that still hook it up the old way and are cool, not just like playing the game. And it's nice to have places, and you have to treat them right, otherwise they go out of business. Like take the other route and just go like we'll do it at cost and make a little for us, not a lot for us.
Right. Right. And
Yeah,
that creates that community, man. I bet you people love it because of that, and they're there and they enjoy the bartenders and all the staff, and the staff are probably well paid. I mean, I always tip well when I'm there. I mean, hell, man, they do a good
for
job, and it's
sure.
like it's not
They
overpriced.
hook it
So,
up and they deal with
yeah,
a lot of bullshit as well.
yep, yeah, it's a dying industry in terms of like that type of business owner.
Sure, man. All like the OG little mom and pop places are like kind of going away slowly. And then you're getting people who own 5 restaurants, and that's fine if you want to be a restaurant group, but like it takes away a little bit from me from the authenticity of
Yeah,
actually contributing to small businesses.
right. I think the larger your portfolio gets, the more you have to answer to the stockholders per se. Like when you own one restaurant or two restaurants, even you have dual locations. As long as you're making a living, right? If it's you and your wife or you and your partner that own
Yeah.
the property or the business, and you're making enough money to live comfortably, have what you want, XYZ, great. Once you get to five, once you get to 10, when is
You're
that
just a
expansion
franchise
still
here,
coming?
or
Right.
no?
Right, exactly. And like, when's that going to stop? You're seeing great profit margins, getting into this bit industry, but then you open a location elsewhere and it's not doing as well. You need to push the other locations more. And then it gets into like a very business like thing instead of giving back to the community and like being fair almost. I don't want to say that because
Yeah,
life is not that way, but
no.
you're picking up what I'm putting down, I guess.
I'm picking it up and I'm handing it back.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's like, what is it in the grocery store? Everything you see is basically owned and sold by 10 companies or something like that.
Right. I've seen the graph of, and I've also seen like the graph of like telecom companies and internet and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, they got us. They got
Yep.
it all. CIA, Verizon, you name it. They got it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. It leads to the rise in popularity of stuff like VPNs. I'm starting to use this Proton
Yes.
Mail, which is an encrypted mail network. They don't sell any of your data. Your data is protected by their
Yeah.
data center, their software, whatever they use. So that's all super
But we're
interesting.
already out there. If you're on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, your face is on a billboard in Russia if they want it to be.
Yep.
But And I'm like, and I go through this like exercise of futility every like year and a half where I'm like compulsively want to delete, like hard code delete all of my social media stuff. And then I'm like, and I want to get back because I don't see what my friends are doing.
Yep.
And then I'm like, I got to restart. And then I don't have any photos. Like my Instagram right now is barren because one, I don't like to take a bunch of stuff and put it on Instagram. But like I did that and I just deleted everything. I was like, man, I just deleted like 6 years worth of Instagram.
Hmm.
So stupid.
Hmm.
But I don't want to be on there. I don't think those guys are the good guys.
Yep. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Just all that shit is somewhere, even if it's not showing up on your Instagram page. That's the crazy thing. Like, I have fucking photos of me as like a eighth grade or whatever, embarrassing shit on my
Mhm.
Instagram. I don't care. If somebody really wants to find that shit and use it to their advantage, whatever, they're gonna be able to do that. Some internet junkie
Yeah,
somewhere. So like at this point, I'm like, shit, man. I mean,
those are psychopaths.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of I don't know, bad shit on there. And I don't agree with the algorithm stuff. I
Yeah,
try not to be on Instagram a lot. I'm there to see what my friends are up to, like you said. That's it.
yeah. But they
That's the
flood
only.
it with all the extra garbage, though. It's like
Yep.
if you only follow 10 people, your feed's going to be full still
Yep.
of somebody else. You don't have a choice. And that's like not how it used to be for a long time. And now it's garbage. It is, but like your brain's hard coded to want it. And for
Yep.
sure, like I delete my Instagram during the workday because I do want it and I demand focus for myself. So I just don't, I take the option away, but I open it up at night and I'm like, scroll, scroll, scroll. And I'm like, what is my brain even doing? Like, why am I
Yep.
even doing this right now?
Yep. Yep. My whole goal
So,
over the next couple of years is to start to replace those habits with reading books, even watching like documentary
yeah,
shows. I consider better than mindless scrolling or whatever. You're learning something. You're actively
totally.
engaging in a process or thinking about something. I think that's
I
another
love
thing
going
that.
to the movies.
Yeah.
The movies, I have to commit to it. And I'm like, I love movies is one of my favorite things to do because it's just like, it's an otherworldly experience. You're out of body for like 2 hours if it's good.
If it's good. Yeah. 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 I've been a fair amount that have been great and a fair amount that have not been so great. So.
You ever
Um,
walked out of a movie?
I have not. I've I paid for it, bro. I'm sitting through the whole thing, regardless of whether it's good or not.
Oh.
That's my philosophy. I'm like, I can't let the $7.50 movie night on Tuesday in Palmyra, Pennsylvania,
Man,
be not taken
that's a
advantage of.
delight. That's a nice price for a movie. It's
Oh, that
like
was
movies
back when I
like
was
feel
in
like
high
15
school.
bucks these days. The
Yeah,
Bird does
same.
it right though. They're still like $7 a ticket. It used to be like $2 or $3 a ticket, but everything's gone up.
It's
They do a lot
crazy.
of maintenance.
Yeah, yeah, it's super interesting theater. That's the one on Cary Street, right?
Right on
Yeah,
Gary. It's like a historic. I think it's from the 20s or something like that. And it's like feels like it, but it's gorgeous in there, man. Beautiful chandelier. They got a guy who pops up with an organ, like a pipe organ, and
that's
he'll
cool.
play on Saturday nights. I think it's Saturday nights. Like the evening show. It's sick.
I've never been there. That's cool.
Yeah. Dude, you got to go. You got to pick a night where it's got a good movie you want to see. It's all
Yeah,
rerun movies, so that's why it's like cheap. But they usually get stuff like the good stuff. They'll get it right when it comes out of theaters. But then they'll just recycle the classics.
yeah, yeah. I've seen that when we walked past there a couple of times, and they have the
Yeah,
big billboard with all the movies on it or whatever, which is kind of like a nostalgic experience. I don't
it
know. I
is.
don't get
It
that
is.
anymore.
That's
Everything's streaming. We were talking about
Smallville
yeah,
vibes.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We're talking about no more Blockbuster last night. No more Red Box. When you walk outside a gas station, there's a Red Box sitting there. You know what I mean? Like everything is
If it's
so
there, it's been broken into.
right. Exactly. Everything's so easily accessible nowadays. I mean, you go on your phone. It's a supercomputer. I can look up literally whatever I want. Watch
Got access to
20-minute
everything.
20-minute YouTube video on literally anything, any question I have, anything I want to read about, it's all available at my fingertips. And I think that leads back to our conversation from earlier, being like overstimulated, too many things at you. I think like a lot of us, we have so many options, we don't know where to go. Like look, you're sitting in a car at a fork in the road, but it's not a fork. There's 30 directions you can turn at the same time. Like, how are you supposed to know which route to choose, right?
Just decision paralysis with that amount of stuff. And that's why our brains are in overdrive all the time. It's like, that's why people have anxiety and people have stress disorders. Everyone's got a different level of sensory capacity for that kind of level of overload all day. Can you imagine living in New York City? Like if you go from say small town Kansas to from we'll call it the Little Apple, Manhattan, Kansas to the Big Apple, Manhattan, New York. That's like insane. Amish to New York City.
Yeah. That is wild to think about. Yeah, man. Seen plenty of Amish in my day. Used to go to a
Yeah.
flea market. Yeah, a bunch of shoe fly pie and all that fun shit. Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Their baking's delicious. Their craftsmanship is excellent. Furniture,
Yeah.
housing materials, stuff like
They're
that.
known for it.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's legit, man. I can speak to it.
Everybody needs a good Adirondack chair.
I actually read something recently that's like Adirondack chairs aren't that really great of a chair. Like it actually hurts your back more than it helps it. I'm like, dude, what are you smoking? I'm like,
Not if you put some like cushions on it. If you
yeah,
put cushions on it, it's in the elite tier of chairs.
I've never had a uncomfortable experience on an Adirondack chair. I don't think.
I don't know if I have either. At
That's what I'm
least
saying.
it's not come into immediate memory. So whoever says they're low tier chairs, poor opinion, and that's my opinion.
I think it was on the subreddit r/unpopular opinions. So it was a good
Well,
controversial
they came to
discussion.
the right place.
Yeah, that's why I love Reddit so much, man. It's like the conversations that happen in the comments are even better than the posts themselves, good ones that pose good
Absolutely.
questions. Dude, it's like, I don't know, there's so many people around the world with different opinions. They have different viewpoints. They've seen different things. They've experienced different stuff. Like having one discussion board for all these people to weigh in on all of these things is genius.
Yeah.
I think where they failed, they IPO'd last year. They're a public company. Now they're subject to investigation by the government and all this fun stuff. So now, they're going to step in, censor material, promote specific stuff.
Mhm.
And I don't like it for that, among most of the other social medias out there. I don't use X. Elon
Yeah,
Musk
me neither.
is not my favorite person in the world, but I kind of respect what he's doing in terms of like letting people, letting the First Amendment ride with stuff like that and not allowing the government access.
For me, I'm like, it's what he's, I, what, and I agree, he's not my favorite person. I think what he does is dangerous. And I also think he's like, I mean, if you have you ever listened to Behind the Bastards podcast?
No, I did we talk about that last time?
Dude, I think I sent you an episode. They essentially pick like quote a bastard from history, essentially. So
Right.
like notorious bad guys in history, and they did a great. And these are long form podcasts, like 3 hours
Yeah.
each, and they might go for 4 or 5 episodes sometime. I think Robert E. Lee was like a 5-parter,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
they have an opinion. Like they're in terms of like on the spectrum, they're left, like leftist. The guy who does it like wrote for Cracked, which is like I would identify as leftist in terms of writing. If you ascribe to the spectrum of
Yeah.
political,
Yeah,
bullshit.
exactly.
Um, but yeah, to be clear, I don't give a fuck. But they did a really good one on Elon Musk where he's like essentially not paying his mortgages or his rents in all of the corporate buildings. So like where Twitter or now X is headquartered down in San Francisco is like just not paying these massive commercial lease bills.
Yeah, I've
And
heard about that.
it's cheaper for him to tie it up in like endless litigation stuff than it is for him to pay the bills. So he's not paying the bills. And I've saw a bunch of random. I'm not going to even go into the conspiracy stuff I was reading about on Reddit the other day, but I'm like, he's not a trustworthy person. I don't like who he aligns himself with, and he's sus. He's one of those. I think there's a type of person, and this is going to sound maybe it's not insane. There's probably a contingent of people who believe this, but I think he's the kind of person. He's like a You seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
Yes.
You know Kurt Russell's character, the ego.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah. So the dad, and how his like whole mission in life was to like spread his progeny. He's a progenitor, is like what I'm trying to say. He's like all he wants to do is have a bazillion kids and like have his DNA out there. That's
Genghis
Elon Musk.
Khan. Genghis Khan
Yeah.
type deal.
It's like Elon Musk, Nick Cannon, and Genghis Khan.
Those are the three guys in that
Those are
tier.
three guys who are
You got
having like they're overpopulating this planet out
right.
of ego, you know?
Yeah, you've got those three guys up top, and then in the middle level, it's all these NFL players with 10 baby mamas, and then on the tier, you know, and then I mean, dude, I mean, think about just a generation ago. Maybe not a generation, a little further removed than that. My great grandmother had like 19 brothers and sisters. I mean, shit's insane.
Crazy.
They
All
were going
Catholic?
crazy.
Just curious.
Don't believe so. Couldn't tell you
All right, yeah.
for
That's the
sure though.
crazy things like associated with Catholics because they don't believe in like contraception.
Yeah. Super interesting. But no, I totally agree with you. I want to make a point that like I don't know, I believe that a lot of people suck and I don't agree with a lot of their opinions, but I do agree with some of the things that Elon Musk says, specifically about social media canceling and what is it, suppression of information. I'm totally with him on that. And if that's, I don't know, man, like he's
Yeah,
such a hard person to get at, I think, with where he's his stature is currently. So like, I
yeah.
don't know. I'm gonna take that as a win because he's doing something I at least appreciate when all these other Uber billionaires also suck in a lot of the same ways, but they're not
Also
doing
true.
anything to
And
mitigate.
there's good with the bad.
Right.
You know, like I think Bill Gates is probably a slimy dude, but like what the Bill and Melinda Foundation does is revolutionary.
Right.
So like, but he's also buying up all the land in North Carolina and Montana, and it's like, should one person own a state? No.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's a perfect example. But like again, we get so caught up in all this stuff, we're not seeing that that's happening. The whole China buying the farmland stuff near our high security bases, the whole Bill Gates buying
Right? You
all
remember
this
that
land.
shootout news from like 2 years ago when they were talking about like they're and you know it's always like somebody's bias where they're like Chinese nationals
Right.
discovered in Western style shootout near military base. Turns out they bought 700,000 acres of land next to the base. it's
Right.
like it's clearly got an opinion on this story, but it's also true.
Right. Right. And that's the crazy thing anymore. All the mainstream media, I think, is so far out there from delivering us a full story. It's just so they just pick and choose too much, I think. Like I actually do follow an account on Instagram that
Mhm.
tries to be as unbiased as possible. They're like, this is what
Yeah,
happened today. This is what's going on in the Middle East. This is what happened in Ukraine. They try to give unbiased opinions, I guess. They still have to
yeah,
cover specific stuff over different things, of course, but like as much as they can, I really appreciate that. I don't want to be told a story. I want to be given an explanation. Does that make sense? Or like
yeah,
given the facts?
yeah. Just give me the why and the what.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
But everybody, like we're talking about, like seeing things from a million different perspectives, like different viewpoints. Who everyone's got their own opinion, and like whoever wrote that sees it their own unique way,
Right.
and that's how they see it. But my buddy Gabe is in the news, like works in the news business. Like he used to work for a couple different newspapers, like Knoxville News, and he worked out in like Appleton, Wisconsin, and he's worked a bunch of different places, and now he writes as well. He was like a content manager and like their media manager for the Knoxville
Mhm.
News, which is a big newspaper. Knoxville is a big
Absolutely.
place. It was like a big publication. It was cool. I visited them, and that place was cool. They had a big old fashioned newspaper printer, and it was like the size of a freaking warehouse. It was super cool.
Yeah.
But I think he works for USA Today, and I consider Gabe like my most unbiased opinion friend because he just wants to be objective
Right.
about the news. It's just the facts kind of guy when it comes to that stuff. So I always look to him when I'm like, so tell me the truth, like what's actually happening out there. Like somebody says somebody won the debate or whatever. I'm like, and he'll be like, so this is what really happened, and I'm like, okay, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Like he's my thermometer for things because I consider him to be completely objective when it comes to that stuff. So
Right.
I think he works for like USA Today or something like that.
That's super
I don't
cool.
know.
No,
Yeah, it's really cool. But I hear the Associated Press is like fairly unbiased because it's like an amalgamation of a bunch of different publications from around the world.
hmm yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say nowadays. I couldn't tell you either way.
Mhm.
To be honest, I could tell you a couple mainstream ones that are
Yeah.
very biased one way or the other, of course. But
You know what you
that's
get
the
when
fun
you go to New York Times? You're getting a
part.
crossword and someone's opinion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's why it's interesting, here in the future, once more people do understand that, where do we turn? Like, how do you fact check somebody's opinion? It's kind of hard. How are we going to move past
Gotta
that?
let the AI do it. Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. See, phenomenal idea. But as soon as Google gets hold of everybody's data and how they want to speak to AI, AGI and their bots or whatever, I don't even know what they have. I know, is it
Yeah,
Gemini or something like that? Google Gemini. I'm
something
just
like
worried.
that.
I'm just worried about that. I'm just worried about them using it at some disadvantage to the Gen Pop.
I mean, yeah, we're all in the sight of it. They've got our faces on barcodes somewhere in a folder.
Yep. What is that? What
Crazy,
is that?
man.
What does that room look like? Is it like the Library of Congress? Nicholas Cage runs in there and steals the sheet from what is it, John Adams with the lemon ink on the back or whatever the fuck it was.
He runs to the Library of Congress. He runs up the stairs to get a book. Maybe he has a key. This is the second national treasure
No, no,
that he
no.
runs in the Library of
It's definitely
Congress.
like a secret thing behind a specific book or something like that.
Oh,
Isn't it like a
that's in the
secret
first
department?
one. He's got
Is
the
that the first
Declaration
one?
of Independence on his back, and he's running up. Sean Bean's the bad guy now. I'm a movie guy. And it's like, and who doesn't love Nick Cage, man? That guy has something for everybody. But he's running up there. He's at the Liberty.
That's true.
He's at the where are they sign the Liberty Bell? Uh,
It's in Philly now,
or the or
but it
yeah,
was
it's the First Continental Congress there. I think that's where they signed the Declaration of Independence. I think it's a church. It's not where the Liberty Bell is anymore though. And he like gets his Ben Franklin's glasses from up
that's
there.
right. Yeah, and then they do the
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
he could
Oh
read
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
invisible
yeah.
ink
That's
on
right.
the back of the Declaration of
That's
Independence.
right. That's right. It's
What a
it's
great
funny.
idea.
Yeah, it's
Great
funny
for the
those
kids, great for the adults.
yes, and it's so fun to watch those movies because who knows what the Masons or all these other secret societies hid throughout history, right? Like those people are still in business
They're
today,
still
man.
kicking.
Yeah.
They're more of a like I've got some a friend who's in it, and they're more of a philanthropy group more than anything, I'd say. Like they've got their rituals, and I think that's part of the club, is what it seems like. But I think they're more of a philanthropy group, and they do like charity and outreach work on top of like going to business with each other. But it's like
Interesting.
nothing like networking and going to business with your friends, you know?
Very true. Are you a South Park guy?
Not really.
Oh,
I get some of the quotes. Man, it was everywhere growing up, and I was like, I just couldn't get into it for whatever reason. It just didn't get me jazzed.
that reminds me of the Easter episode, the Hair Club for Men, where they all dress up as rabbits and like go do this conference and they praise this bunny who is what was it? I forget how they twisted the story. I think it was he was actually the 13th disciple at the Last Supper or whatever.
Yes, the
Saint
bunny
Peter.
disciple.
Yeah. It was this whole
South
thing and they had
Park has something
ninjas
for everybody.
attack him. Yeah. Yeah. So, oh, what I was gonna say when we were on the topic of Nicolas Cage, have you seen his new movie? I think it's on Max. He plays like an old dude. I've heard it's actually pretty good. I've been wanting to watch
I know
it.
what you're talking about. I think he's like canceled or a writer or something. I'm not sure. I know what you're talking about though. I have not seen it. It does look good. Um, he's put out such a wacky catalog here in the last like 10 years. He just does whatever he likes, and like some of it's for me, some of it's not. It's like some of it's just like art. I'm also not a horror guy, so I'm like, I think Pig is a
Yeah.
scary movie, and I'm like, I'm kind of good on the gore if that's where it's gonna go, but maybe it isn't. Fright Night at Freddy's was a fucking such a laugh, but it was like a slasher comedy
Hmm.
kung fu thing.
Yeah, I'm not into the like paranormal horror as much as I am thrillers. I'm good with gore and like stuff like that. Like I loved Kill Bill because of how graphic it
Oh,
was.
Kill Bill, I'm all for, but like I don't want to Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm good on
Right.
that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I'm good
You and I
on
can
that,
agree.
but I do like Scream. Like Scream is a good movie, but I also think that's like part of like my I watched Scream growing up. I'm like that was my scary movie
Yeah.
introduction. That and like American Psycho, which I was way too young to see that
I've never
movie.
seen that.
Bro, it is crazy.
Yeah. Okay,
You
well,
got to watch it for yourself. It's good.
m
Christian Bale
mo
crushes it.
Christian
Yeah,
Bale's in that movie? Wait, have
yeah
I seen
Christian
that?
Bale is the
Christian
main
Bale's one of my favorite
character.
actors.
Yeah,
He's gotta be my favorite actor.
yeah.
How have I
Christian
not
Bale
seen
is
it?
goated in that. He's like that's one of his best.
Really? I loved him in, The Big Short is honestly one of my favorite characters he
Oh
plays.
yeah,
Dude,
I read that book.
he
Uh,
he's so,
yeah,
like,
he's that guy.
weird and quirky, and he plays the part so well, man. He fits e yeah, I don't know, he's just
He,
such a good actor.
dude, he's done everything from like American Psycho, The Machinist.
I
I
haven't seen
think
The
he
Machinist
like.
either.
I mean, it's dark. It was a little dark for me. Like that movie make you depressed watching that thing. But he crushes it, and he like drops like you saw how Joaquin Phoenix got like super skinny and like emaciated for the Joker movie.
Mhm.
Like that's what Christian Bale did for The Machinist, and it's like it's not he's unhealthy to look at,
Yeah.
but it's a crazy just feat of acting. That guy goes full send. It's
Yeah, man. He's
crazy.
also really good in Ford v Ferrari, I thought. I haven't seen The
I haven't seen
Prestige
that
either.
one.
You haven't seen Ford
Oh
v
man,
Ferrari?
The
That's a good one.
Prestige. Nice. Dude, The Prestige is a banger. That's Christopher Nolan, I think. Um, The
Yes, I
Prestige. I saw
believe
that
you're
in
right.
theaters growing up. 2006. Yeah, my dad had a BlackBerry at the time. Um,
BlackBerry.
dude,
Forgot about them.
dude, The Prestige. It's Christopher Nolan. You know how like Christopher Nolan style. Like he jumps around in time a lot. It's hard to put pieces together. This movie is fascinating. They're like magicians in the 1800s. It's fascinating, bro.
Damn. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I haven't seen The Machinist. I haven't seen American Psycho. But Christian Bale's gotta be my favorite actor, so I can't believe I haven't seen those.
People hate that Thor movie. He was great in as Gore the God Butcher in Thor 3 or 4, whatever the Love and Thunder one was.
Yeah, dude. Alright, 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 alright. Who is your favorite actor then?
Great question.
Alright, give me, like, 3,
I think.
if you can narrow it down to 3.
I mean, I feel like I like Daniel Craig, but like solely for his work in the Bond movies. Although he's got some other really good stuff. He's good in Logan Lucky. He's good in he's got a movie he did with his wife who's what's her name? She's the gal from the Mummy.
Oh,
I'm gonna
really?
blank on
I
her
didn't
name
know
right now.
that was his wife.
Yeah. Rachel Weisz is her name.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
and she's a big time actor as well. Um, I don't know who do I really rock with. Hot take Zendaya's catalog, even at being like she's at like 28 or whatever, she crushes. Olivia and I just watched Challengers, and I'm like, what an insane movie! Like full send, like that's some straight up method acting shit. Daniel Day Lewis is a fucking absolute killer.
mm,
I don't know. I'm like Ben Stiller's up there. Like I love Wes Anderson movies, and I'm like, it's the same cast most of the time, or like a group of them. Oh, Bill Murray.
Bill Murray.
Bill
All
Murray's up there. All right, I'm done rambling. Call it Bill Murray. We'll call it Daniel Craig, and we'll call it Zendaya.
There we go. I think that's a good three.
What about you? Top three.
I would say Christian Bale. For whatever reason, dude, I don't know if this is like a memory thing, like we were talking about earlier, mental block or whatever.
Mhm.
Anytime I'm talking about him, I can never remember his name. I've seen numerous Christian Bale movies. I
Interesting.
read his name.
There's got to be a psychological like a word for that.
Yeah. I don't know, brain fart. I think that would be the technical term.
We cue it
Like,
up. Let's find out.
yeah. Let's see. I know it's like an easy cop out, obviously, like during my movie span, because I never really got into like more than heavy action movies until I went to college. Um, I like Leo, but that's that's
Yeah,
an
he's got
easy
a lot.
choice.
Also, that word is anomia. Brain fart is an anomia.
And Anomia. All right. So
We learned something new today, my friend.
that's right.
We're better than we were yesterday.
Christian Bale Anomia. Hey, somebody else got to have a Christian Bale Anomia too. Can't just be me
Gotta
out
be.
there.
Let's my
Out of,
I use my I only have one computer. It's the laptop that I got from work 3 years ago. But it's like I'm never gonna return this. But I'm like Christian Bale anomia is my search history on my work computer.
Love it. Okay, so three. I don't know. I really like what's his face. Breaking Bad's probably my favorite TV show.
Bryan Cranston is
Bryan
goaded.
Cranston is phenomenal. I think what's his face did really good in Better Call Saul, also in Breaking Bad.
Bob
Although
Odenkirk.
yes, but although I don't think his catalog is as well rounded as a lot of other players. But
Have you seen I think you should leave?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's with Tim Robinson.
No.
It's you seen the 55 Burgers, 55 Fries kit?
Yes.
You've seen it then. So there, Bob Odenkirk is in an episode, and it's another. I'm not gonna say any more than it's another one of those cringy. You can't help but laugh because it's so cringy, but the humor is just like so dialed in on it. Bob Odenkirk is good. I think he wrote for SNL and was on SNL for a while back in the '90s.
Ah. So he's been
Yeah,
around. He's been around. Oh
yeah.
my god,
He's in The
dude.
Bear as well.
When? Season I've only
I
seen
think
half
he
through
I think
season
he
2.
plays I think he plays Carmi's dad.
Oh, okay.
He's like
I
Jamie
probably
Lee
haven't
Curtis. It's either the dad, a boyfriend, or an uncle.
haven't gotten there yet. I see.
Yeah.
What I was gonna say, dude,
I'm
I
ruining it
forgot
for you.
that Christian Bale was Dick Cheney in Vice.
Dude, Vice. And he gained a ton of weight for that. And that movie is so funny.
Yeah, I thought it was phenomenal.
Dude, Vice is up there. I love Vice. That's
Yeah, I
one of those
think they
movies where I'm like, you don't ruin the things you love. Don't watch it too often.
sure, absolutely. Yeah, I need to chill on shit like that because I love to watch my favorites. But you never really truly get that experience. Okay, I
I'm
shouldn't say
constantly
that.
putting Harry Potter on, and I'm
Yeah, me
like,
too.
it's just like that's my safe blanket movie show, and it's like that is a thing in psychology. It's like if you know all the words, it's why people like listening to the same songs all the time. It's why like it's a safe sensation in your reptile brain for you, like you
Yep.
know what's coming.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's totally true. I've never thought of it that way before, but that's
Yeah.
that's a fact.
But it
Yeah,
ruins the content, It's like I get burnt out, and it's like you don't want to rewatch Game. Are you finished Game of Thrones yet?
no, I didn't watch the last 4 episodes. I've seen
Oh yeah,
all
yeah,
of
yeah. It's
yeah,
like
I
it's like that. It's like you don't want to rewatch that, but so often, otherwise it loses its magic.
yep. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing with like fantasy novels and stuff like that. I've read the Harry
So,
Potter books so many times. It's like I
Yeah,
haven't read them in a couple
same. I've read
years.
them, I've audiobooked them. It's like
Yeah,
they
so
lose
phenomenal.
their fun.
Yeah, I need to read them again though. I haven't read them in a good 5 years, so I think it's about time to do it again.
You like audiobooks at all?
See, I'm not a huge fan of audiobooks. I'll listen to audiobooks. It depends. I
Mhm.
like podcasts and people talking while I'm at the gym. I think it's a mental thing for me. I want to have to focus on both of those things instead of just having music and trying to lift big weight. I want to be
That's fair.
mentally stimulated as well as physically stimulated while I'm at the gym. Twofer.
Yeah,
But
makes
um,
sense.
I will listen to audiobooks on like car trips and stuff like that, long drives, as well as
I'm driving to New
podcasts.
York.
Yes, but I think we're going with Grace's family's all going, so we're probably
Yeah,
carpooling if I had to guess. I don't think I'll be driving
there.
by
Yeah, you're
myself.
not audiobooking nothing.
But yeah, I much prefer to be able to read a physical copy over anything else, even like a Kindle.
Yeah.
I very much like to have the opportunity to reread a section. I like to be able to pause, look stuff up on my phone if I don't understand the full context of what's going on. That happened to me a couple times. We were reading Old Man and the Sea. We do a book club
Mhm.
for the
Yeah,
the
we talked about that
podcast.
last time we
Yeah,
were kicking it.
and I think that helped me a lot. Just the ability to be able to stop. Oh my God, what's this item? This piece of fishing gear. Oh, I understand how it's used in this
Yeah.
application. Now I understand the context of what's going on in the book, and like stuff like that to me as a reader is
Cool, because
invaluable.
it makes you see it. When you
Yes.
like, when you look it up, you go, "Oh," you see it, and then you're immediately there. That's the whole goal. It's supposed to transport you. It's like when you know what it is, you're forced to be transported.
Yep. Man.
Yeah. Old Man Sea's a good book, man. I like Hemingway. I think, and it's like some of their writing is of the 30s, 40s, and 20s. Like those words. Some words don't get used anymore.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I bought the original version. I didn't buy like the English updated version or whatever. I bought, you got to
yeah,
have it in all of its authenticity, if you're going to read it. That's my problem with the Lord of the Rings books. I think we talked about that too. I
yeah.
can't get through the language and the songs. The songs kill me. I got through The Hobbit. I read the
Right.
whole Hobbit.
You read Game of Thrones before?
No, I tell you this? I was telling this to somebody recently. I was like, when I was in Colorado for my my first job out of college, we did like a Secret Santa type deal, and it was like December 10th, and somebody comes up to me while we get into the office, and they're like, "Hey, what do you want for your Secret Santa?" It was like under $25. I was like, "Well, I want to read the Game of Thrones books," and left it at that. They got me like the third and the fucking fifth book. Like, what am I supposed to do
That
with
doesn't
that?
do anything for you. Well, I've got one and two if you're interested.
Hey,
Uh,
hey. Yeah, I gotta get
they're
through my
good read.
current.
The first couple are easy reads.
Nice. Yeah, well, I'll definitely
Yes.
have to do that. I'm trying to read this short story book by, who's it by? It's by a well-known author, I can't remember, and then I've gotta read the book that we're gonna do for book club, which I think I convinced everybody to do,
What
Things
is
Fall
it?
Apart, if you've heard of
Mm,
that.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Never read it though.
Yeah, it seems super interesting, and then they wanna read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, afterwards.
Nice.
But
That'll be a fun one.
once I get through those 2, I don't think I have anything on my docket, so maybe I'll take you up on that.
Solid.
I will. I will. We gotta get together sometime the next couple weeks and hang out.
Yeah, the
I
next couple of weekends I've got weddings. I got a wedding this weekend, a wedding next weekend, a break, and then a wedding the weekend after that.
Yeah, I
So
think I
it's gonna be
am out
tight.
of town. No, I'm not out of town a couple weekends, but I'm basically busy every single weekend until December.
Maybe we can link up for some like twilight golf.
Yeah, let's do that. I
That could be
like
good. We can do that
I
during the
like
week.
Mondays, potentially Wednesdays, and I might be here a Friday.
Um, I'm good on like that's funny. I'm good on like Tuesdays and Thursdays. um, yeah, I could probably make a Wednesday work.
I could probably make a Tuesday work. That's when I schedule most of my podcasts. I don't like to have them
Oh,
Mondays.
fair.
For whatever reason, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not in the right headspace Mondays, after a full day back at
I'm
work, back
ramping
in the
up on
routine.
Monday. I'm in a funk on Monday because
Yes.
I come from going from 0 miles an hour over the weekend. I'm slowly ramping down, and I finally hit the bottom, and then it's like time to go back up.
And you have to go up really fast. You can't get that gradual
It's
decline.
Sisyphusian daily.
Oh man.
That's
I
how
mean,
I describe it.
the way you describe that's pretty accurate. I mean, the whole breathwork thing, I mean, that was like I think kind of what got us into the mental headspace. And then we talked about evolution and fucking meteor
Yeah,
impact, got through a lot of that. But I think the breathwork is something that I've been really looking to get into, over the next couple months, couple years. Wake up early, do a yoga with breath work, like something like that. Just something to get me in the right headspace, somewhere where I can be
just
productive the rest of
activate
the
the
day.
body, your brain. You're forced to release positive chemicals when you
Yep.
do it. It does another purpose. It keeps your body from hurting. Like I sit all the time, and I love this chair. It's not good though. It's cozy, but it is not good for posture. Like I need to go get I want to invest in a chair because I sit here all the time. And I'm like, so I'm fearful of this hump on my neck. I feel like I saw like some weird Instagram like reptile person with a hump on their neck, and I'm like, that can't be me. I gotta fight this. So I'm in like trying to connect my posture a little bit
Yep.
and go on longer walks and like I'm getting ready to try running again when I'm like, oh,
Me too. Me too. We
we'll
should
see
run a
what's
half
behind the
marathon.
wall.
We should run a half marathon or something next year.
Mine never matter. I could for sure do one like right now. Like I could probably, if I hydrated and ate enough food tonight, I could probably run one tomorrow. But I'd be broken for the next couple of months if I did that.
Yeah.
But I could if I needed to.
that's that's the whole thing, man. Like just knowing the fact that you could, if you
All
absolutely
up
had
in
to.
here, it's between the ears, man.
Yep.
That's really how it is. Like having gone to college at VMI, I'm like I didn't know what I was walking into. I had very little information when I showed up there. And you just kind of like, there you are, get in the water.
Yeah. Sink or swim. I mean, I'm sure
Pretty
a lot of
much.
experiences were like that. And I think
It
that
really
can
is a
be
just keep moving kind of thing.
right. Right. That can be good in
Yes.
some ways and probably detrimental in others, but like, life is full of experience. It's how you react to it, I think, is what makes you the person you are, right? Like everybody
It's
has
true.
experiences in one way or another. Obviously, not to the same degree, not to the same severity, all kinds of stuff. But like,
Right.
you can't judge somebody else because they haven't had the same experience as you, or if they've had a different experience that
Oh.
causes them to think about something differently. So I don't know. That was kind of
And
a
I
philosophical thought.
no, it's true though. Like, can't judge anybody for how they experience their own shit. And I'm like, and I'm thinking about BMI because I just brought it up. But thinking about BMI, it's like you have to be a certain way to get through that. Like you have to adopt a couple of things. Like
Right.
you're just gonna kind of shut up and take it sometimes. And like you have to try to get through. Like it's fair you can get through VMI by not giving a fuck and like sliding through the cracks, kind of like doing your own thing. But like it's hard to do that and like squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thing, you know?
Hmm.
But like so you have to like try at this place. And you were kind of talking about a little bit earlier about like entrepreneurship club and like future leaders of America, that kind of thing. And I'm like, wasn't into that in high school, but like I started giving a shit and trying when I got to college. So like everyone's competing there, and I feel like you bring this really competitive mentality into the world, and it's like I'm competitive, and it's why I think I'm passionate. I love what I do in sales because I'm competitive, and I'm like I need to swing the bat. Like all I want to do is like reset the pins,
Yep.
and I know other people don't think that way. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is being late going anywhere. Like I want to be on time. I'm not like you 10 minutes before is on time guy. I'm like, can we be plus or minus two, you know? And
Hmm.
I'm like, that's one of those things where I'm like, that's just how I see it. And that's not how everybody believes it. And that's fine.
Yes. No, I'm
But
with you there.
yeah,
Yeah,
some people
100%.
want to be an accountant. Other people want to be talking to people all day.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's something that I struggle with, really knowing my limits per se, and like really the avenues where I want to concentrate my effort. I don't think up until the last 3 years that I actually knew, what
Mhm.
my passions are, what I consider, something that I
It takes
enjoy.
time.
Yeah, and I,
You gotta try your hand
through
at some things.
exactly through modern society, I think, not only are people's brains developing at a later age, I think there was some study released on that recently that,
Mhm.
the previous thought to be age of 26 is now more like 35 in today's generation.
I'm
And
big yeah. Let's
yeah,
go.
and like, like all these life experiences, all these things that I do, my job, I've gotten more involved at different things. I've learned different things. I'm like, oh, maybe I kind of like that a little bit. That kind of is kind of interesting. How would I do in that? And I kind of find myself visualizing and daydreaming or dreaming of these things that, I could potentially achieve. And like, that's a way I've always been. I've always been,
That's
wildly.
what keeps you going, man.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a job, and otherwise, you're just trying to make money to do the shit you really wanna be doing.
Yep.
And everybody's in different situations, and, like, there's plenty of people that aren't privileged enough to, like, pick their job, you know? It's like but when you can, you better make it good.
Right. That's a whole goal, man. At least for me, it's like, finding a way to finding the time to do the things I enjoy. That's
Yeah.
it. That's
Or
all I
you
want.
find purpose in, you know?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Being a great statement. I think that's a good way to kind of wrap it up here. Grace just finished dinner, I think, and I am a hungry
Bro,
man.
it is late for dinner, man.
I know we eat late.
That's crazy, man. What time y'all go to sleep?
10:30 we try to get in bed at least by. Sleep no
Man,
later than
it's
11.
not enough time to digest, is what my doctor would say.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll give a shot at that. I don't know. I very much enjoy going straight to the gym after work, and then, I got the podcast, or
Yeah,
I got
I'm
whatever,
bad
so I'm
about
on
it.
one thing to the next. But, on a good note,
Yeah.
I did get these prepackaged chicken things at Costco, so that's a good alternative. Just whip
And then the
that up.
preseason chicken wings.
No, what's that?
My therapist was telling me about them. He said they were like preseason chicken wings or chicken legs. You can throw them in the oven or you can fry them. He said are they smack.
Yeah. We do
Yeah,
the
we haven't gone to Costco yet. I've been dying to go get them.
oh, dude, Costco is phenomenal. I just got a bunch of protein shakes. I should have loaded up again on the we do the little Chick-fil-A looking nuggets.
Oh yeah, we do the same thing. I just got some protein, like some cachava shakes off of Amazon. If you haven't had those, you should try cachava. It's
Yeah, my
expensive though.
my dad
It's
has the
yeah,
kachava powder. I've had it a couple of times.
yeah,
I lean towards organic protein where I can get it and
yeah.
sales. Protein's
That's
expensive.
this I know. It is, man. It's always been expensive. I remember like so silly, but like I did end up playing football in college for a year, I guess. But like I remember drinking protein shakes in high school, trying to like beef up and get as jacked as possible, and doing it in college. And like that was so expensive to just like not just suck down a bunch of egg whites.
Right. Oh, 100%. I think like well, actually that's not true. I think what collagen protein is the most bioavailable, and then it's eggs right after that, and then whey
Yeah,
is shortly follows it or something.
yeah. And you
They're
can
they're I
just get
think
collagen like supplement pills. Like those are easy. I think they're flavorless.
yeah, I do creatine too. I do creatine every day,
I
twice a day.
used to.
Working out.
Made my skin break out really bad way back when, so I stopped doing creatine.
Interesting. That's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, I wonder what caused that. I've read a lot of stuff recently on creatine being
yeah.
extremely good for you. So
Man, I felt fucking electric when I took it.
it's supposed to be a neuro. I don't want to misspeak. It's some sort of neuro not inhibitor, but whatever is exhibitor
Yeah,
maybe
a beta
maybe.
blocker.
Yeah, yeah, something like that, right? Where it's allowing I don't know neurons to flow. Something's happening up there. I don't really understand the
It's
gravity
either
of it.
stopping the bad ones or enhancing the good ones. One of
Exactly.
the two.
Something like that. Something like that. But man, dude, that's been
Yeah.
It's been an hour and a half, and it felt like 15 minutes.
Dude,
So
time flies, man. I am
I
thinking about second dinner, speaking of Lord of the Rings.
there we go. I've got first dinner coming up. I haven't gotten there yet.
Ah, envious, envious, my friend. Well, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I would love to do it again if you can spare another hour and a half or perhaps longer. I'm not sure of your interest
A
level
hundred times.
in various history stuff, but me and my buddies are putting together some like long form podcast ideas where we can really, record and break out some interesting topics throughout history. For those of you out there that have not heard about this yet, we're considering doing the study of ergot. If you're familiar with ergot, so that's the fungus that LSD was synthesized from back in like what was it,
Mm,
19 I don't know, 40 something like that.
yeah, something like
And
that.
there's a lot of
Often.
ergot research done by this Swedish or Swiss company in the previous 5 decades, half a century, and ergot is still used in modern medicine. I think it stops bleeding post delivery of a baby. So
Interesting.
yeah, there's a lot of science behind it, and I think that's a big umbrella topic that needs that time to really, like, go through, understand, because it's such a vast subject. I mean, these
Yeah,
motherfuckers probably had an employee base of God knows how many people and were doing it for 100 years, you know? It's like, I don't know, that's a lot of data to cover, I guess is kinda what I'm getting at.
it is. That's a long story to tell.
Exactly.
It's a
Well,
whole
man,
season.
hey, yeah, exactly, entire season, 10 episodes, you heard it here first. That's right.
Book it.
That's right. All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure having you on. I
Cool.
really appreciate you taking,
Thank
the
you, brother.
time out of your day to do something like this. Um, Huge, man. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah,
Not
likewise.
everybody has responded to my podcast requests, so I appreciate you for being there. I
You're
appreciate.
missing out,
That's
people
right.
out there,
That's right.
detractors, or the silent few.
Yeah, that's right. But I mean, dude, I just appreciate genuine conversation. And I know you and I have that all of the times that we've hung out, to be honest. So, yeah, it's a
Yeah,
pleasure having you on here and getting to talk about a boatload of things. Honestly, we probably talked about 30 or 40 different subjects, as small
I'm
or
excited
large.
for the rewind. It's going to be good to hear what we spoke about.
Yeah, that's right, dude.
I
I'll let you know in 6 months when I find time to edit it. No, it should be more like
love it.
2 or
I
3.
love it.
I'm hoping I could probably get it out before the new year, maybe right after.
Maybe this is the New Year's Eve episode.
There we go. There we go. New Year's Eve
Mm.
episode. You heard it here
Happy
first. Back
2025.
yeah, back in October.
Yeah,
Got
let's
a
go.
backlog.
All right, brother.
All right. Well, everybody,
Adios.
thank you for listening. And if you don't mind, go and give us a follow on our social media accounts. They're at Slanted Attic or at the Slanted Attic Experience, depending on what platforms you use. You can consume our media on pretty much any of the podcast platforms that are on the internet, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, if people are still using that. Yeah. So I appreciate everybody sticking around this long, and we'll see you next time. See you guys.